At the time, market's going to shit.
Yeah.
Home values are dropping.
Right.
Right. How did you approach that mentally? Like, what were you thinking at that time?
I don't know that either of us thought there was another option than to just figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I think
and that's
neither of us were like, oh, we should go get a 9 to 5 or
Right.
do something different. I think we both just realized that we should push through or figure it out.
but that never entered your mind.
No.
Quitting.
No.
Right?
No way.
Right?
Because I'm still making a living fine.
I was like, no. And I like that. You know what I mean? You can't quit. You pivot. Right? And that's what people out there listening, watching, that's what you need to think about, right?
Yeah.
No matter what business, industry, whatever it is that you're doing, it's going to get difficult at some point, right? It's not always going to be super easy, and you need to adjust and do different things to earn the same income, get the same results, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the successful people did at that time, right? That's why I just kind of wanted to stop you for 1 second.
You're working twice as hard for half the money.
Hey guys, awesome episode here with my friends Pete and Rebecca Beauchemin of Realty One Next Level. Cool story, guys, about the day they met, first day being real estate agents, all the way till now, almost 20 years later, with an office of 60 agents of their own. Listen to it, super inspiring, shows you that anything is possible. All right, guys, here we are on another episode of The Mic Drop, here with my good friends Peter and Rebecca Beauchemin of Realty One Next Level. How we doing?
Good.
Yeah?
How you doing?
Peter, you nervous?
Yeah.
See, sometimes when I confront that, then we just get it the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't be nervous. We're going to talk about you guys.
Okay.
The whole reason we put the podcast together years ago was, the tagline was connecting community to success, right? So what we wanted to do is, have people out there listening see and understand how other people have been successful and show them that anybody can do it. Okay. Right? Cool. That was kind of the theme behind it when we began. So, that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, kind of your own story.
Sure.
Right? Like everything you've done to get to the point where you're at today. Because I know from you and I talking, you've navigated some different markets, pretty strategically to get you through all of that, right?
Right.
All right. So let's talk about you guys. When did we meet?
2004.
Yeah.
Yep. We started at a RE/MAX office on the same day.
Yep.
We did not know each other. And we became really good friends.
Yep.
And we kind of trained together and did some shadowing and things like that. And it took Pete about 6 months before he asked me out.
No.
Oh, really?
No, basically she was out of my league. Until I started.
They always are. My wife is. That's just the way it goes.
Right.
They're better than us. So you guys started real estate and met each other
We
same
started
day?
on the same day.
I think that differentiates us from your normal team. You got a lot of husband-wife teams in the industry, but normally it's one who starts, and then the other one quits their job or retires and joins them. But we've always worked this way.
Yeah, it's funny. I knew you guys were in the business together a long time, but I didn't know it started like that.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. So 6 months to ask you out on the first date?
Well, we went out downtown one night and I was with my friends and he was with his friends and we ended up meeting up. And on the ride home, I told my friends that I thought that I might want to date him.
Yeah.
And they said, don't do it because it was his family's business that we worked for.
Oh, yeah.
So they said, if it doesn't work out, which it won't, you're going to have to leave and find another place to work.
Good advice.
I said, great advice. Thank you. But I think it's going to work out. So, and the rest is history. So.
No, it was we went to an event, an awards event, and she brought this boyfriend that was pretty lame.
Yeah.
And then I took her and I started dancing with her.
Boyfriend.
Yeah. And I started dancing with her and pretty much he was gone by the end of the night and I was dancing with her.
So we were at a RE/MAX event, all dressed to the nines, dancing, really fun party. And he had to find a bar in the hotel to watch a basketball game that was on.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And I was like,
snooze, you lose. I slipped right in.
So,
Absolutely.
and I said, I shouldn't have brought this guy. I should have just come with the group in the limo and danced with Pete all night, which I ended up doing anyway.
Yeah. I never understand those guys, right? They're like, you're at some nice event that you can be like spending time with your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. And like, they're just like looking at some game on their phone or have to go like, Don't you realize that like the person you're with and the time you're having is much more important than some random basketball game?
Yeah.
You know? So it's good that you recognize that.
Yep.
Right? And you jumped all over it. Well, I don't know what happened right away, but took advantage of the moment and had a great time. And so was it like from there you guys kind of relationship took off and you've been together ever since? And it was
Yeah. I always tell my young agents who are having all these like issues with their dating lives that Pete and I did not break up once.
Yeah.
We didn't break up once.
Yep.
In 18 years now.
And we work together, which is crazy.
And right. So, I mean, that's when you know. If you're like an on again, off again, on again, off again, that's not the right person.
No, I don't think it ever is when that happens. And I think part of that too is you got to push through some hard shit, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, Nicole and I, we've had many ups and downs and challenges over the last 15 years we've been together, right? But we've never broken up. We've never said, oh, that's it, right? Yeah. And then you come back together. No, it's like you fight through that shit, and that's what makes you better and stronger after.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's actually great advice.
Yeah.
So you're giving, not only are you giving leadership advice, but you're giving love advice.
Life advice.
I'm the mom of the office to a lot of our young kids. They call me their real estate mom. So
well, that's great.
I'm happy to have that role.
Right? It gives them, somebody to look up to. Nicole's been the same way here for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice to have that. And so let's talk about your working relationship and how it kind of progressed over the years, right? Were you guys just independent agents? Like
no, we were on a team.
Yeah.
We were just buyer agents. We didn't work with any sellers.
Okay.
For 2 years.
Yep. And then we left the team, and we were both working independently.
Yeah.
So we worked independently for about 5 years, right?
Yep.
And that was when you were on another agent's team.
No, we're on another agent's team. We left that team, and we both did our own business.
Okay, that's
yep.
So you're just doing your own thing, and you're both doing well, right? And this was 2004, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then 2008 happens.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
You guys are both in real estate.
Right.
Where are you at in your lives at that point? Are you married? Any kids yet or not yet?
We had no kids. We had bought a house though in 2007
and a condo
that we flipped. So we, I think maybe I was pregnant with Parker. I must have been 2008.
2008.
Yep. So we were about to have our first kid.
Yep.
And so that very scary time.
Right. No steady income, commission only, and the market's tanking. All of a sudden, nobody's buying a house because they know it'll be worth less next month.
Right.
Right. So we decided to pivot, and I noticed that, I check my stats every day. I love to know who I'm up against, who's awesome. Number one in my towns, in my areas.
Yep.
And so I noticed, there's like 10 agents that were getting all the listings. And back then, I didn't even know what a bank own was. Mm-hmm. But so we saw all these agents getting these bank owns, and they're selling 100 houses.
I'm pausing for a second because I think it's awesome what you did, but I want you to tell me about what your thought process was at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So at the time, market's going to shit.
Yeah.
Home values are dropping.
Right.
Right? How did you approach that mentally? Like, what were you thinking at that time?
I don't know that either of us thought there was another option than to just figure it out.
Right.
Yeah. I think
and that's
neither of us were like, oh, we should go get a 9 to 5 or do something different. I think we both just realized that we should push through or figure it out.
But that never entered your mind?
No.
Quitting?
No.
Right?
No way.
Right?
Because I was still making a living fine.
I think I was like, no. And I like that. You know what I mean? You can't quit. You pivot. Right? And that's what people out there listening, watching, that's what you need to think about, right?
Yeah.
No matter what business, industry, whatever it is that you're doing, it's going to get difficult at some point, right? It's not always going to be super easy, and you need to adjust and do different things to earn the same income, get the same results, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the successful people did at that time, right? That's why I just kind of wanted to stop you for 1 second.
You're working twice as hard for half the money.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But that's part of the gig.
Right.
And that's how you get longevity, because you got to push through the dips, right? Which we're kind of in one right now. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's slow, right? That's okay, right? Yeah. We're just going to hustle and do more to get more business.
Right.
So tell me, right, at that time, you're looking at it, listen, no other way. We need to figure out a solution. You're looking at your stats, and then what'd you do from there?
Yeah, they said, how do I get a piece of that pie, right?
Right.
So what we did was we just did a normal job during the day, right? Because I still had to pay my bills, had to get my sales. So I continued, doing about 30 deals a year, did what I had to do during the day to get that taken care of. And then at night, I tried to infiltrate the bank-owned business. So I figured out, tried to make connections. And I tried that for about 6 months. After my regular working hours, I'd get home at 8. I'd stay on the computer for another 2 hours. I'd be stalking asset managers. I'd be sending gifts to foreclosure companies. And finally, it was actually just one lady. I was working on a short sale, and I talked to this one lady, and I weaseled my way into the other department. I said, "Hey, who do you know who handles your bank-owned properties?"
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, you want to talk to Stephanie?" Right? So I said, "Shit, thanks." She gives me Stephanie's number. Stephanie gave me 70 listings the next year.
So for those of you that don't understand really what all this is, right? Because a lot of people that may be listening or watching don't really understand real estate inside and out. Give the quick explanation as to what bank-owned properties are for people that are like, third grade, dumbed down when it comes to real estate.
So as you know, back then they were giving a loan to anybody with a pulse. You literally didn't have to have. Was it no doc, no assets? You could just
stated income.
You could just go to your accountant and get a loan, right?
I remember the CISA loan, stated income, stated assets.
Right. Yep. So all these people are getting defaulted on, and so then the bank repossesses the property at the foreclosure auction, and then they will hire a real estate agent to sell it just like any regular seller.
Yep.
And so there's normally a department that handles what agent they're going to hire. So if you can get into that department, then you can become their listing agent of choice.
So that's at the local banks,
Yep.
big mortgage companies, and you were hitting everybody?
Oh yeah. So I got into one particular mortgage company that had done a lot of that B and C and D paper.
Sure.
And so, they loaded me up, and then I was able to leverage that experience to get into more and more and more different banks.
So this Stephanie person that you hooked up with sent you 70 listings the following year?
I should look her up.
Right? You should. You should send her. You should send her something.
She's the only reason we're here, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if we hadn't had that, I don't know what we would have done.
Well, what I always like to do, right, and I talk to the guys here about it all the time, right? I call it thumb pointing, right? Thumb pointing, good or bad, rather than finger pointing on anything, right? You look at it and you say, all right, well, what can I do differently? Like, how can I control this outcome, right? And that's a perfect example of you guys looking at it saying, how can I control it, rather than being like, pointing your finger at the market, pointing your finger at, all the shitty loans that made everyone default, right?
Yeah.
And saying, we're fucked, we can't do this. It's you guys saying, all right, well, what is the solution? Somebody else is doing it. How do I figure it out? So as much as, you're saying, we should, thank Stephanie, you guys should thank yourselves for putting in that work and finding a way.
And all the other agents were jealous. Oh, you didn't do anything. No way. Took me 6 months to get here, and then it was just a gravy train, but it was my actions. It wasn't luck.
And it wasn't easy sales.
And it wasn't easy.
God,
no way.
Those bank owns, we were responsible for everything then, because this was like brand new to everybody, right? So they had not like now when I get a HUD property, it's all cleaned out, the locks are changed. It's like just sell it. Oh, easy. So back then they didn't have any of that. So
more property management.
We were changing the locks sometimes.
I got really good at picking a lock and climbing through a window.
Yeah.
Right? We'd have to get into these properties. We'd have to organize like the clean out process. If there was plumbing repairs that were needed, we had to organize that, get approval from the bank.
Right, because you wouldn't be,
because
the bank would be footing the bill.
Yep.
But you had to do it all to get the house.
Because they're in California.
We had to put all the electric bills in our name, all the gas bills, all the oil in our name.
Plowed, lawns mowed.
And then, so what my job became during this time was helping Pete with a lot of the legwork and also doing all the billing. So if we paid the electric bill, I had to then submit, and some of them would be like $20, $15.
Right.
And we had so many properties at once that we'd be paying like 30 electric bills every month.
Yeah, we'd have 10 or 20 grand out
organizing
on all these.
that.
And so we'd have to scan the electric bill, and they were very specific about reimbursing us. So it was like the bill, the check, the whatever. Like it was crazy the amount of stuff that they wanted. So that was my job, all the accounting to make sure we got paid back for all that, because these properties were not a lot of money. Like some of them $50,000, $70,000, right? So your commission's not high, and if you spent $500 on stuff that you didn't get paid back for it, it's going to really
and were you getting
be a problem.
Paid back slowly too?
Super slow.
These big
month
lenders,
or two.
to get your money back. And if you've got 15, 20 grand out there, it's like that's not easy.
And where were we? Maybe it was at the Christmas party. I was just telling this story that one of them, just a couple of funny examples. One had a skunk in it. Right, so
in the
literally
house?
Someone showed it, and there's a skunk in the closet. And I can't just call someone. I had to get 2 days for the bank to approve this expense of getting the skunk out, right? So the skunk sprayed when he was getting them out, and this was in the summer up in the Lakes region.
Yeah.
So the thing just stunk the whole summer long, no AC or nothing, but we did sell it. And another one that was horrible was they used to steal all the copper.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So I got one out in, almost to Vermont. And some guy, I didn't know this because I ordered an oil delivery, right?
Yep.
Someone had cut the copper line to the oil tank. So it dumped all
it was just pouring into the
dirt basement. And then I had to coordinate like a $30,000
cleanup.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, and then and dealing with the neighbors, it was crazy, right?
That
For
is
like
crazy.
$1,500 commission. That one.
And so
it was not an easy thing. Like people say, "Oh, I'm going to get into the bank owned."
Yeah.
It's not awesome. Like it's great that you only have one customer, right? That's going to give you 70 listings. You only have one person that you have to keep happy. So that part of it's a little easier, but the properties themselves, I mean, it's like crazy. The stuff that we would do, and I'd be like, "Is this what I'm doing? Like, is this my job?"
Yeah. Well, that's making it work, though.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
And sometimes, though, you would lose a client. Right, because they would reassign the contract to a new asset management company, so you just lose 20 listings.
Right,
get out of here,
out of your control, completely
that's
out of your control.
So you don't want all your eggs in one basket. Right. That's another lesson I learned.
Well, so at that time, were you, once this Stephanie hooked you up with 70 listings, were you also grabbing them from other lenders at the same time? You figured it out, and then
Fannie Mae, HUD.
That
USDA,
was until years later, though.
New Hampshire Housing, we were working with them all. In the next 2-3 years. Yeah.
Now we just have Fannie Mae and HUD.
Which is pretty
which is
good.
great.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Not right now.
They're pretty good.
When they come back around,
Oh, they're coming.
Be ready.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So that was 2000. What are we in? Like 8, 9?
2010, 11. Then it started tapering off.
Probably till 2012, 13, 14. I mean, there was one year, Pete, kind of when the market started to get a little bit better. He was a little burnt out with the bank owns because this was a lot for 5 or 6 years that he did that. And so he said, I just want to go back to regular retail real estate.
Yeah.
So he did that. And so I said, well, I'll take over the bank owns.
Right.
Because that was less of our business at that time. And he said, I'll just go, back to regular real estate since the market's better. So
that was after the year I sold 98 in one 12-month period.
Yeah, he was a little burnt. So I took him over and I made the relationship with Fannie Mae and with HUD.
Yeah.
And one year, I think it was 2013, maybe. I sold 43 Fannie Mae properties.
That's incredible.
And I worked probably 30 hours a week. It wasn't even.
I
just had such a good system down for dealing with them.
You nailed it down.
Yeah.
How did you get in touch with the folks at Fannie Mae?
I just applied. So they want agents with experience.
Yep.
So we had so much experience with all, Pete's successes.
And we had a team and systems.
Yeah. So I just applied and got it, and they added me to the team. The asset manager called me. I was at a home inspection, and she said, I need to give you a phone interview right now. Can you talk? And I was like, okay, yes, this is more important than the home inspection.
Absolutely.
Now. So I'm going to excuse myself for a few minutes. So I went to one of the bedrooms and just kind of shut the door and talked to her for an hour.
Wow.
And she hired me. So
hey, that's doing what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right? That's doing what you have to do. So at the time, were you still at that Remax office that you were at?
Yep.
Okay. So you were there for a good, what?
13 years.
13 years. Long time. Because that was 04. So through 2017, you were at that office, right? And you're growing your business. You get through all the short sales, the bank owns, foreclosures, all that, hustling. Right. Hustling, right? Because to get to be successful and do anything well, right? It's not easy.
No.
Right? It takes work. So again, people listening, it takes work. And even getting in with those banks and Fannie Mae, so many people want to do that shit. Yeah. They do. But they don't want to put in the time and the effort to get there. Yeah.
And you can't get into those without experience.
Right.
And if you can't get the experience, you know what I mean? It's it's this catch-22. So, so it's just.
But that's a roadblock that many people would kind of give into, and they'd say, "Oh well, without experience, you can't get there." Well, how about you find some?
Right.
You know
that's what we did.
Find some experience.
Yep.
Call people for 2 hours a night. Hustle.
And we did BPOs, and we we tried to get some experience to show them that we could do it. So.
Yeah, and you did.
Yeah.
You did. So that's awesome. So you did that for a bunch of years. At this point, you married, kids are coming along, right? How many kids do you guys have?
Two,
right? And they're what, like 13
13-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter.
Yeah. So during all that.
Yep. Well, that must be hard as shit too, right? Because what you just described, selling those properties, that's like not easy. And organizing all that, that's not, you're not going to work at 10 and coming home at 4.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're working 24 hours a day pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? With babies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No health insurance either. You got to pay cash for those babies.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people don't realize, like, being self-employed is not all it's cracked up to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's great rewards, but at the same time, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And you need to figure shit out, and no matter what the market's doing.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, it probably was not easy for you at that time. Do you bring the kids along with you to houses?
All the time. They've been to a lot of houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when my kids were small too, especially Michael, my oldest, he'd come to open houses with me on the weekends. He'd be with me all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, that's just what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, in this business, you gotta tough through difficult times and figure shit out.
Right.
You know, so you guys should be very proud of yourselves for doing all that.
Thanks.
Yeah, you really should be.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah.
So at what point did you decide, hey, you know what, we're going to leave where we are here and go off, and where'd that go? You got a couple stops before you got to where you are,
one
right?
stop before that. So the bank loans were drying up, right?
Yep.
We weren't making, there were $50,000 in Pittsfield, $40,000 in Claremont.
Right.
We weren't making a shitload of money, right? So those dried up, and we needed to close 50 or 70 to make a living.
Right.
So that's when Rebecca took it over, and I said, you know what? I was pretty good at pounding the pavement, so I started doing expireds.
Yep.
So at that time, 50% of all listings that hit the market wouldn't sell.
Right.
Right. So
What year are we in now?
Probably about 2011, 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so what I would do is I learned how to sell a house in that market, right? So the 50% that wouldn't sell, I go knock on their door.
Yep.
So I go knock on the door and say, hey, I just sold 150 houses in the last 2 years.
Literally knock on the door?
Literally knock on their door. And I was able to do that to drum up a shit ton more of listings.
Yep.
So that's when we decided to create our team, because we had so much listings and so many leads coming in from the bank owns and from the listings that we needed help.
How would you sell a property that somebody else couldn't sell?
Oftentimes,
what were you doing
couldn't
differently?
sell, it was because the agent was inexperienced and wasn't using all of the tools available to them. So the pictures were crappy. The write up was crappy. There was no video. Just a lot of like marketing,
lazy agents,
basic marketing skills that just
which blows my mind that you still see that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With like all the technology and seeing, like, you look at a listing that is marketed, well, and everything looks awesome. There's videos, there's pictures, there's like promotion on social media. And then I'll be like scrolling just like through Zillow or whatever. And I'll be like, wow, people are still doing this shit, huh?
Yeah.
Just taking a few pictures and throwing it up there.
And I think a lot of them were just scared to ask. Right. Like they would the house didn't sell and they would never contact, literally half of them, they never heard from their agent again. Right. And I'd go in and be like, hey, drop it 20 grand. It would sell the next day.
Right.
But I would make a case why you got to drop it 20. I would justify my request, and they'd take my advice and we'd sell it. Yeah,
and in some cases back then, I remember working with some agents that it wasn't even always the price. It was just that it wasn't done well, like you had said, Yeah. So where were you focusing at that time? You're still doing the bank owns. Where were you geographically focusing?
So at that time, it was kind of after doing the bank owns all over the state, I said, hey, I've had it with sitting in the car going, it would be one day you'd be going to Claremont, one day Pittsfield, one day up north. And so I said, I want to focus my efforts. And so we decided to take over Manch, right? So, because that's where we lived at the time, was Manchester. Our office was in Pinardville. So it just made sense for us. So that's where we positioned our marketing. Right. And that was the goal. So then over the next year, what did we become my goal was to be number one in Manch, right? So we did that. I think we were number 6 first year trying. And then within a year, we got number 1.
Awesome.
Residential listings. So that's when we kind of switched gears, stopped working with the buyers, and only worked with sellers.
Right. And that's why I asked that question where you were geographically, because if you're going to be knocking doors and you're going to be like trying to like be hitting the pavement in that way, you got to be smart about it, right? Right. You can't drive to, like you said, to Claremont to knock on a door and have nobody answer.
No.
Right?
No.
So you're hitting them all in the city while you're still working some of the bank owns. Right? And you're hitting the streets in town, going to be number 1.
And even that wasn't enough. That was later on, but I would spend maybe 2 days in Manch. And then I would do 1 day Bedford, Amherst. Then I'd do Londonderry, Derry 1 day. So about 3 days a week I'd be out there hitting doors.
Right. Now Now, what type of success rate were you getting when just with, I'm not saying about once you get the listing and you sell it.
Yeah.
But like when you're banging on doors, like, how many people would answer? Like, what do you think your conversion rate was?
How many people yelled
Ish.
Not many people.
That's what I'm getting
Only
at.
a couple people told me to beat it. I was like, oh, whatever. Most people didn't answer the door, but I'd leave some stuff on it.
Right.
Some people will invite me right in. So it was surprising. I mean, maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 20.
Right.
It wasn't that bad.
Right. What's the worst thing that happened?
Literally, that's it. The guy slammed the door in my face.
Right.
That's the worst thing.
The worst thing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I try to tell a lot of the guys here and
Yeah.
other people in sales that I've talked to. It's like the worst thing that somebody's going to tell you is no.
That's like
what I
one
mean?
out of probably 200.
Right. Other than that, because so many people get nervous to go out and put themselves in an uncomfortable position and do those types of things, right? But nothing bad is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I was saying it here one day last week because we got back into going out and just walking into real estate offices.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, me and one of the guys here drove to Leominster. I was like, let's just pick some random town, some random city where I don't really do any business. And just go walk into offices.
Nice.
They're like, well, what are they going to say? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Worst thing they're going to do is tell me to fuck off and I'll leave.
Right.
Well, it's like,
You know what I mean?
That's it.
I go, that's the worst thing that's going to happen.
Right.
That didn't happen at all. Everyone was super nice. I had great conversations with people that worked at the desk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had one group that invited me to come back and speak next week. So I'm like,
Perfect.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to do that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're banging on doors. You're making shit happen. I think the best thing that I've heard from this story, and now we're looking at a 10-year period, is you guys just make shit happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't fall in your lap, right?
No.
You didn't become the number one team in Manchester. Just your phone wasn't like ringing off the hook with people saying, I want you to sell my house, right?
No.
Right.
I had to consistently grow that.
Right.
And so then at that time, that's when we formed our team, if you wanted to speak to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got really busy with, I was doing all the bank owns. Pete was doing all sellers. So we had a ton of leads coming in, right? Because people are just calling all the time or emailing about certain properties. So we had a lot of buyer leads to give out because we did not want to work with those ourselves.
Right.
So we started hiring team members.
And this was before everybody and their mother had a team.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And this was a traditional team. So Pete and I were the team leaders, the rainmakers. We were making the leads. And then we had several buyer agents that worked under us. And we, different kind of commission structure so that we were compensated for the leads and everything. And so that worked great. And we had 8 team members.
8 with 8
Eventually. All buyer
agents.
agents.
That's
they could
incredible.
take listings if it was something that they procured themselves.
Right.
But if it was, something that we gave them or there was a listing involved, they had to give the listing back to us.
Just
But
fair.
mostly buyer, buyer agents.
You made the whole thing happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you had 8 agents. Were you still at
8
Remax
agents.
at the time?
Still at
then?
Remax.
Still at Remax.
Yep.
And how long were you running with that type of setup?
Probably
5
like
years?
4 or 5 years. Yeah, we were the number 1 Remax team
In New Hampshire.
in New Hampshire for 5 years.
Yep.
For 5 years in a
And
row.
I think we topped out at about 200 deals for the team.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every year I changed my billboards. 50 houses sold, 100 houses sold, 150, 200 houses,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Those years were pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah,
had a
that
really
is
good
fun.
thing going within our office. I always felt like we had like our own little mini office going within the big office, and we just had a really good,
And
good group.
what years are those? I'm just trying to gauge
So
the
maybe
market.
2012, 13 through
Up to
2017.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
We decided,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome, right? So now you're making money. Everything's going great,
Right.
You're growing. You're number 1 that you wanted to be. What made you then say, hey, let's do something different?
Well,
just get bored,
we
as you
get
can
bored
see.
Right.
every few years.
Yeah,
And we
I
need a
get it.
new
I-
challenge.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like,
We
what's
were-
next?
So we were 200 of the 500 deals in that office.
That's incredible.
Right? So we're like, hey, we
Right.
could probably do this.
Right.
And
Yeah. We just kind of took our overhead, like what we were paying the brokerage at that time, and said, oh, yeah, we could afford to, I think, go out on our own and do this on our own.
Right.
So,
And I think we were having trouble growing the team. A lot of the other agents were going to other brands, so like newer, flashier brands, they weren't coming with us.
Yep.
So we felt like we had to do something different.
Right.
If
I think
we
it
wanted
was
to grow.
also had a lot to do with the commission structure RE/MAX, the fees were high, and it was hard for us to recruit agents to be buyer agents on that team because of that commission structure that we had to put in place in order for us to get repaid for the leads.
Right.
And then tack on all the RE/MAX fees on top of that, and they weren't keeping much, our buyer agents. So I think a lot of the interviews we had, they chose to go to teams at KW or some of the other big offices where the fees were lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just felt like we couldn't compete.
Right.
Right.
Well, and it took a lot of balls for you because you had an added complication. You're working for family too, right?
Right. Yes.
Right. So there was another wrinkle in there.
Right.
Right. Were you guys evaluating all that to be like, oh man, this is going to be
it was
super
terrible.
difficult?
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be in that position.
A lot of our office had gone to Keller Williams years before, you know, and basically started that branch, and then anyway, so. But we had to do what was best for us. I guess.
Yeah. But my point of even bringing that piece up is that's another difficult thing that you had to kind of push through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And whenever you bring family stuff into it, it just makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to disappoint, you don't want to upset people, all that other stuff. Right. But sometimes you have to do what is best for you, and that's understandable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It was a hard decision, but we said, it's time. We needed to do something different.
Yeah,
right. And if you look at it, right, they're running a business too, right? Everybody's running a business, and that's sometimes you got to branch out and do things differently.
Yep.
Right. So you go to leave there. That was 16, and where'd you go from there?
So we opened our own company in Bedford, in the same location that we're in now.
Yep.
We partnered with another local to New England
Regional
brand.
firm.
And we're with them for 3 years.
Yep.
At that point, were you still running the same type of business you were doing then, where you guys were the listing agents and you had buyers agents under you?
We still did have our team
Yep.
at the time. We were
went
able to
over
put them
5
on
agents.
a more competitive commission split, which they all appreciated. But then, we were able to grow to the office. So we had a lot of independent agents coming in that were just working on their own.
Yeah. And now when you went off on your own, was that your plan, was to grow it in that way and say, let's hire a bunch of other agents and keep this thing going?
Our long-term goal was never just to have our team that worked out of
a place for us to sell houses.
office.
That was never the intention. It was to grow one of the most competitive offices in the state.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, that's good. You know what I mean? It's like you said, hey, listen, that time to do something different. And the coolest part about that too is it was when you were already kicking ass at doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's try something new. Let's make it more difficult for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Let's fuck this up a little bit, make it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
No, it was crazy. We're still selling 50 houses a year, and we're hiring people. We're training 10 new agents. I mean, cutting checks. It wasn't easy the first few years.
Yeah, because then you throw on top of it running a business.
Right. So we knew how to sell a shitload of houses, but managing agents and, there's a lot more added to it.
Yeah.
It was a
More than I
learning
thought.
curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being the boss is so much fun,
Yeah.
right? Oh my God. Sometimes I'm like, I just wish it was back when I was just doing loans and that was it. You know what I mean? And, you probably feel the same way some days. Other days, I love every single one of these people and I'm happy I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just adds a level of complication.
Right.
So everybody out there, think about that when you want to have this big company. No, but think about it and be ready for it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a great thing, but other days it pulls on you a lot too.
Yeah.
Right? How when you guys were going through all that, how'd you deal with that stress with each other?
We still don't know how to deal with it.
We still,
No. We do pretty good. We each have our own role, but
that's
we banter a lot, and I think our agents at the office, they're used to that. They're used to how we communicate, which is maybe a little different than most people, but it's okay.
She's like,
So what we figured out is that we're both alphas.
Yes.
And that doesn't work that great. If we're trying to co-lead or co-teach
these,
something.
yeah. Yep.
So we can't do that. So we have to just say, okay, you're going to take the lead and I'm just going to be here as the support person. So we have to decide that before a meeting or before a training, who's going to be the leader of it and just stick to that.
Right.
But that's good figuring that out.
Yeah,
that's good figuring that out.
Yeah.
Now, what roles, since you guys have been off on your own now 6-7 years, what roles do you have in the company? How do you kind of divide and conquer?
So I would say Pete is more of the like back of the house.
Operations.
So operations.
Okay.
So
Accounting.
the accounting and the marketing and all of that stuff. And I do more stuff with the agents. So the people, the, you know, checking in, the training, new agents, dealing with like the mentee relationships and if those are working well or not. So mine is more people-based.
She does onboarding, compliance.
Onboarding, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of divide responsibilities. And that's not just because it's a husband-wife relationship, because Nicole and I have been doing this together a long time too, with any partner, right? Because otherwise you end up butting heads on if you're both working on the same thing. It's like if you're going to get into business with somebody, it's like, let's figure out where we're both strong, right? It's like, you're strong there. Well, let's run with what we're awesome at, you know? So it's good you figured that out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
think that's key to any partnership.
Or you're figuring that out.
Yes,
right.
We're figuring that out. I think it's really important to define the roles and then stay in your lane. You know, just trust that the other person is taking care of what they need to take care of.
Yeah, that's great. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about too was how you run your business. Pete, you've told me some of the stuff you do. Rebecca, I'd like to learn more about what you do. Let's talk quickly about your recruiting practices. Because it's not even so much. Well, what I wanted to, I know what I wanted to talk about. Is not so much. Yeah, you bring in a lot of people, and I know you got big goals for the number of people you want to have. Talk about the discipline piece of it. I like that. Okay.
And maybe I'll just wrap up our story and then tell you what we do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we were with this other regional company. Yeah. In my opinion, unfortunately, it wasn't the best fit. It wasn't a franchise. Sure. We kind of tacked on this New Hampshire branch. They still had a lot of control over paying the agents, systems in the back end, and soon we just realized it wasn't a good fit for either party, right? And so I think that was just part of, I realized sometimes you got to go on a few dates, you know what I'm saying, before you find your true love. But so for us, we learned there was a lot more to running a brokerage than we really thought. Yeah. So originally we had talked to Realty One Group in 2017, but we didn't go with them because they only had 100 offices across the country.
Right.
Yeah,
they were pretty small
West
back then.
Coast all West Coast at that point. So we're like California all the way to Little New Hampshire. I think that's too. Yeah. We'll wait until they get bigger and revisit.
But we loved everything about them. Yeah. And then so 3 years later when we realized, hey, this ain't working out, right? And one thing we learned throughout my career was you're supposed to hire slow and fire fast. And we realized it's just not a good fit. Right. If we prolong this, we're delaying the inevitable. And so anyway, that's when we said, it was actually during COVID, the shutdown, we bought our franchise as Realty One Group. So we said, we gave notice and we just said, hey, we need more control of this. And so what we got from Realty One Group was the systems that we didn't have. All this, the back end systems, the training systems, the technology, the tools, all the things that we didn't have. So we just got way more to offer the agents and for us to be able to run a smoother office.
That's awesome. Right?
Everything's in our control now, which with the other company, it was not in our control. Right. And we felt like a lot of the time the ball was dropped and there was nothing that we could do about it, but it was reflecting poorly on us. Right. And so we're like, no, we need to have 100% control.
Yeah. And that's when you need to, again, pivot like you did earlier on in your career. It's like, all right, going this way. All right, we got to make a shift and do something different.
But I feel like if we hadn't done that, I wouldn't have appreciated Realty One Group. Right? Because I didn't know what I was missing. Right. And so after going through that, I was like, oh my God, I appreciate every dollar, that we give them because it's like such a good value.
Yeah. And sometimes that is an important lesson to learn. Right. Yeah. And you can't look at that as being like, oh, it was too bad we did that. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that was great that we did that. Yeah. Because now I know that I want what I want. And I appreciate what I have. Right. Right. And then you can look at it more with a feeling of gratitude for what you got.
Absolutely.
Yep. So that's
so
fantastic.
It brings us to
during the COVID shutdown too. We kind of closed anyway, right? Like everybody worked from home and until they figure out what's going on with this. And so we were like, well, everybody worked from home for a few months, and then when we reopen, we're going to be totally rebranded. So we used that downtime. It actually was like perfect timing. To like just get rid of all the previous brand stuff, add all the Realty One stuff, do some remodeling, and we open up as a.
They train us on their systems, plug in all their back end. Yeah, it was really smooth.
So how were you feeling to talk about the COVID time? Right, you're transitioning to a new company. It's March of 2020, and like the brakes go on everything. Because if you remember, like for the first couple months, like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we signed our franchise agreement the last week of March.
Right.
So it was literally like the day the world shut down and we were signing our life away. We're like, okay, this is the next 10 years. So hopefully this works out.
Hopefully it works.
I think one thing I learned from that is, we didn't like how being disconnected from our agents.
Yeah.
And so that's something we're really trying to now it seems like we're there's some changes happening now.
Yeah.
So we're doubling down. We're not letting our agents get away. We're keeping everybody engaged to make sure we don't lose touch. Like it seemed maybe we did for a little bit at COVID.
Yeah. I would say that's like for our company here, that's like the most important thing that we have and why we've been able to do so well over the years is because we've kind of kept the team very tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know you guys do a lot of events outside of the office, inside of the office, trainings, things like that. And I think that's why you've got such a good energy in your office. I think it's great how you've got the group of young, people in there because they're super tight and they have fun together and you guys have fun with them. It's really good energy in there with everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you've done a great job there.
We've worked hard to create that.
Yeah.
And to sustain it is not easy either.
No. No, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now, do you do a lot with that, right? So you said you're more involved on the people side of it.
Yeah, so I organize all of our social events and activities like that. And once a month we do have a Coolture night. So Coolture is Realty One Group's cool culture. And I think that's where that good energy comes from. And it's interesting because we are friends with brokers now all over the country that own Realty One Group offices. Yeah. And they all have that same kind of feeling.
Starts at the top.
So it's it's the company.
Yep.
And it's when we all get together as brokers, which we do a couple times a year, you feel that, you know? So it's really interesting that it's just something about this brand and it's translated to every state in the nation. So
they pushed the right thing. Yeah, they pushed the right thing from the top.
I wanted to give an example of that just happened yesterday. So we just hired a new agent. He's a real rising star. We're real excited to get him. And so we pushed it out on our social media, right? And the president of Realty One Group said, "Welcome to the team."
Get out of here. That's
When's
awesome.
the last time Gary Keller said, "Welcome to a new agent"? I'm just saying.
No, seriously. You know what I mean? Because it's also this, right? Every agent is important, right?
Yep.
And every agent should feel important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just because it's, Keller Williams or Remax or whatever it may be, it's like, you got to people need to realize that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to feel important too, you know? And because they are, right?
Yeah.
So like by letting that go, you're actually doing them and yourself a disservice by not paying attention to that.
Yeah, that's one of Realty One Group's mantras is everyone has a voice and everyone matters.
Yeah.
So
everybody should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody should. Like even if you're, the agent that does, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 transactions a year.
Right.
You matter.
Yep.
Right? Maybe with the right guidance and leadership and like camaraderie in the group, you could get to 10.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
Everybody
we've done
needs
that
support.
time and time again where we hire an agent that has been with another brand for a year or two, sold a couple of properties, maybe isn't getting the support, just totally lost in the shuffle. And we can take them on and give them a mentor and really provide them with that support and engagement that they were completely missing. Mm-hmm. And we see them easily up to 12, 15 deals.
Double their deals. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
And then I think also once the agents have other friends in the office that are agents, right? Then they have not only you guys to lean on, but they've got the other agents to lean on, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden it gets easier for them.
Oh, sure.
Right? Because they're not out alone on an island.
Right.
You
They're
know?
all helping each other.
Right.
And all their businesses are growing.
Right.
Yep.
Every time I've been in your office, there's a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
I go into some other offices from time to time and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, nobody ever comes in." I'm like,
we try to really promote the family feeling. So, and that's part of what I try to do. And, Pete tries to do. And also, Ryan, our brand manager, he does a lot of our Coolture stuff too. And so it's really from like all of the leadership team, all the mentors that we have, anybody who helps us with training or anything like that. We just really try to promote that family. We have a zero drama policy. We all help each other. It's not, it can be a cutthroat business and we can be that way out there when we're up against agents on other companies and we need to represent our customers. But in-house, we all support each other. So
that's the way it should be.
And it's been our experience that if you're in the office, you're going to do more deals rather than sit at home playing
100%. Right? Because this whole working from home nonsense,
right.
We all know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Watching soap operas.
Well, we're doing whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, no, then it's
People
like.
do that anymore?
I don't think so. Are they even on anymore? I don't know. But that's when I'm like, I'll go to the gym. It's 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to the gym from 10 to 12. Then you go grab lunch. Then you got a couple other errands you have to do.
Target.
Before you know it, fuck it. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got to go home and get the kids off the bus or go make dinner. Or you did nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know it. Like, when our team here says, oh, I'm working from home, I'm like, I'll say right to them, like, you're not working. I know what you're doing. You don't need to lie to me. Yeah. Just so you're fucking off today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what you're doing. You know? So the more you can get them in, right? Because activity drives other activity.
Right.
So if there's an agent sitting there cranking on the phone, the other agent that's sitting next to him is going to say, well, I got to crank on the phone too. You know what I mean? So that's definitely important.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that,
you
know, because this whole, through COVID, and even though we have so much, help from technology now, people should be together. Right?
Yeah.
It's more fun that way. I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
I hate being alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I want to be around people and talking and having fun and some excitement going, So how many agents do you have now in the office?
I think we just hit 60.
Yeah. We just hit 60, right?
So from 5-member team to 60, not too bad.
Not too bad. And so when you, in, what was it, spring of 2020, how many agents did you have then?
17.
All right.
So it took us 3 years to get to 17. And then the last 2 with the new brand, 17 to 60. So if that says something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
and you wanted me to
I want you to talk about that because I think discipline is huge, right? So talk to me a little bit. And Rebecca, if you have anything to add on the discipline side too, please do. I just know from Pete, you telling me a few times with your recruiting practices, you've got that pretty dialed in. So why don't you talk to that for a sec?
Well, so I think that I really do feel we have the best product.
Yep.
I am confident in my product now because I've seen the rest.
Yeah.
Right. So for what we offer, for the value, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So I just got to get the word out there. So to some extent, it's too good to be true. Right. So it's my job to grow the company. Unlike a lot of our competitors, they rely on their agents to do the recruiting for them.
Right.
Right. Here, we don't have any kind of downlines. We don't have profit sharing. We don't, because we actually give you all your money right up front. Right. But anyway, so my job, it's the agent's job to sell houses. My job is to do the recruiting.
I like it.
Right. And so that's something the Realty One Group, they trains us. They train us on the tools and everything that we have. But for me, it's all about consistency, just like knocking on those doors.
Yep.
So the odds are any agent who's listening to this thing right now, I probably called you. And if I haven't left you a voicemail in the last 2 years, it's coming. Right. Or I've texted you and you better believe every single person listening has got an email from me.
Yeah.
So it just starts with little things every single day. That's always been how I got to be successful. So every morning I carve out an hour and a half of my day to try and have some conversations.
Yep.
And that's all I can do. I know that it's just like a seller. Unless they're motivated to sell, to move to Florida, you're not just going to go talk to them and say, hey, you want to sell your house today? No, I'm not interested, right? But my job is to build a relationship with agents, let them know what we have to offer. And then one day something's going to happen where they're not happy with their brokerage anymore. Or like right now, I'm just saying when the market is turning, it's easy when everyone's making a ton of money, right? And it doesn't matter what your split is. It doesn't matter because you're doing fine. But I think over the next year, people are going to start tightening their purse strings and they're going to say, where can I go somewhere that's a better value? And I'm going to be hearing from a lot of people I spoke to over the last year.
Absolutely. Yep. So that hour and a half in the morning, you told me what, you want to have 5 conversations?
Yes. Yep. So I just dial until I get people's voicemail, but I just want to at least have either 5 rejections or normally it's a couple I'm all sets, but I like to have at least 5 conversations.
Speak to 5 people.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
What I think
it takes me about 15 to get to that 5.
Yeah,
15
sounds
to
about
10.
right.
Yep.
Just because people won't answer or whatever. Now, you could say 50, right?
Yeah.
But if you said 50, that would be super difficult to do.
Well, that'd be my whole day.
Right.
I still got to pay people.
Right. Well, that's my point. That's my point, right?
Yeah.
Is when you're trying to do something like that, even with knocking on doors, right? You probably weren't saying on time, I'm going to go out and knock on 100 doors today.
Right.
It was probably, I'll do 10 every day.
Right.
Or whatever the number was. I have no idea.
Got it.
But in this case here, 5, it's doable, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the week, that's 25. That's 100 a month. That's 1,200 a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So consistency. Consistency is what yields results. And in this case here, you've added, 43 agents? Doing just that. right?
And we've added a lot more, but unfortunately in our industry, not everybody works out new agents. So we really haven't hired any experienced ones that went somewhere else. So it's just been people that start in real estate and then realize it's hard work and got out, right?
Yeah, it is hard work. You know what I mean? People think it's easy when, they see years like, the last couple of years when a house is on the market for a day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you both talked about 10 years ago when half of the houses didn't sell at all.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And another funny fact that I told a couple of my agents, they didn't believe it, I would carry 25 listings at a time. I would have to carry 25 in order to sell 4 a month.
That's unbelievable.
And they can't comprehend that, right? And that's when I tell them now, when the market was tough and you couldn't get your buyers' offers accepted, I said, you don't have enough buyers. You got 2 buyers. You need 25 buyers so that you can get 2 offers accepted.
It's true.
Just simple math.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're doing the recruiting, you're running the office, you're running the people, while you're doing the operations side, you're on the people side. Are you both still selling houses now?
Minimally.
Or
yeah.
Just when they come to you?
Yeah. Once the bank own, if they, come back, whatever, I'll probably assemble a little team to help me manage those, and I'll take that over again. But
yeah, and right now
Are you hoping that happens? It seems like you like that.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I think it's really good experience for the agents too.
Yeah.
So the people that I hire to be on that team are going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, it's a great way to
see
learn.
these dumps when the first time.
It's really eye-opening, especially after the market we're just coming out of, where every house is perfect, stage, the lights are on, it's so welcoming, nice. There's some, and then everybody wants it type of thing. I mean, these properties are rough. They all have mold. They're
skunks,
skunks, wild animals. Everything's leaking. The plumbing's gone.
I had another one. It was a grow house. And the door was still smashed in from the FBI.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And there was still like a bowl of rice in the microwave from when they got busted.
Oh, yeah.
Legit. Yeah, it was funny. And all the stumps, so the cops took the plants away and they left all the stumps in the garage.
We had one too downtown, and it was same kind of situation. You could tell it was something bad had gone on there. And it was a box of, looked like meth making equipment,
materials,
like
whatever that was.
And things that were, Pete's like, oh, that's great.
Wow.
Don't touch that.
Yeah, but you learn a lot going through those type of things.
Yeah.
It's hard times that make you stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not your HGTV.
No,
at all.
definitely not.
There's some quote, I forgot the whole thing, but it's like, hard times make strong men.
Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men.
Yeah, that one, right? And it's so true, right? It's like easy makes people be so weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not be able to be gritty and tough and figure things out. And you guys over the last almost 20 years now have gone through some difficult times, some great times, and you've powered through, and you're in an awesome spot now here at 2022 going into 23.
Oh yeah, it's on.
What are the goals? Where are we going?
You can speak to that.
All right. I mean, my immediate goal is I'd love to be at 100 agents.
Yep.
Right. And again, we don't want to be one of these mega offices with 700 agents.
Yep.
We just don't feel that we're going to be able to keep what we have.
Yeah.
We're trying to grow the right way.
Yep.
And our model works for the average agent. So it really works best for agents doing from 5 to 25.
Okay.
Right. So a lot of offices have 200 agents, don't sell any houses.
Right. Don't do anything.
They may not be the perfect fit for us. Right. But 5 to 25, we're the best value you're going to get.
Yep.
So anyway, I see us going to 100 probably in the next year or so. And then between the 4 offices, my goal 5 years to be at 250.
Awesome.
Or sooner.
That's a great goal.
See. Yeah.
5 years from now, you're thinking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Easy. Yeah.
And where are the other offices?
We got Concord.
Yep.
So we bought the franchise rights to Concord, Portsmouth, Nashua, and Bedford.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. And do you have agents physically in those other offices, or like satellites?
There's satellites for now.
Yep.
But we do have quite a few in Concord and Portsmouth. So.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So 100 agents this year, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do this again in 12 months.
Okay.
End of 2023 and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think if you keep doing exactly what you guys are doing, you'll be there.
Yeah.
It's only 40 more.
No.
40 is a small number.
Yeah.
Piece of
Right?
cake.
I always do that. I'll like look at a number that's actually a pretty big number when I'm looking at something.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, 40.
Yeah.
I'm like, we really need like 40 more loans.
Right.
And I'm like, we don't need 10,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need
Only
10,000
40.
more
Right.
agents. Only 40. It's a small number.
We did hire 30 this year.
That's
so
awesome.
that's
You
not-
did it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You did it this year, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
Now, even with that, right? Some of your agents that are doing really, really well,
Right.
you hired them in the last year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something we're pretty good at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we're pretty good at making superstars. So
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you be willing to take on brand new agents?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we have really good training in place. So we have a mentorship program.
Yep.
So we put agents onto that. We have 8 mentors, and they're all experienced agents who have really good businesses that they've built.
Awesome.
All of them, most of them are trained by us. So they actually are like extensions of us because they went through all their training with us years ago. So so they work with our brand new agents for their first 7 transactions.
Yep.
So they have certain checkpoints, the new agents, that they have to go to their mentor. So if they're writing an offer, they have to check in with them, make sure they're on the right track with the paperwork. After the home inspection, if they have to negotiate any repairs, they're checking in with the mentor. Financing commitment, checking in with the mentor. And then at the closing, the going over the Alta, making sure that everything's correct on that. So
there's in-office
it's kind of like
rating.
a second set of eyes for those first 7 transactions to make sure that you're not going to do anything that's going to, be a big error that's either going to cost you that relationship with that customer, and you're never going to get a referral or repeat business from them, or God forbid, get you sued or worse.
Right.
So,
Right. That's good, though, because a lot of agents, they're like alone on an island with no real help and support.
Yeah.
We do shadowing, too. So there's in the field training and there's in the office training.
Yep.
To give them enough knowledge to be dangerous, and then they lean into their mentor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So people out there, if you want to be a real estate agent, call these guys. They'll teach you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've been through all the ups and downs of the market, so you know how to either pivot and figure out what's going to work at that time, or go all in when it is working, right? And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else should people know about you guys before we wrap up?
Well, to give a little pitch, I guess I would just wrap it up with, I feel like I said, why we're the best option is a lot of people complain if they're with a small office because they get nothing, right? The broker is so busy selling houses, they don't have time for them. The other end of that is a lot of these offices, 400, 500 agents, they're lost in the crowd.
Yep.
So we're a nice happy medium. We're a mom and a pop kind of a team feel, but we have the national resources of the fastest growing franchise.
Yep.
Never mind, it's just a cool company. The branding is sick,
Right.
the tools, the technology, and then, you get all that. So the other side of that, so it's the best of both worlds as far as size and resources, and best of both worlds for what you get from the money. So a lot of companies, you can go much other places and pay no money, but you get nothing.
Right.
So for us, we have extremely reasonable commission structure, but you get everything that you get at the other big guys.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
that sounds wonderful. I'm
Win-win.
sold. If I was going to be a real estate agent, I'd come work for you, Pete. All right. Where can people find you? Like Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Realty One Group, Next Level, or join ROG, Next Level.
All right. How about what are those? I don't know about any of that shit. You would think I would know like the Instagram handles and all that other stuff since I'm like all over it all the time.
Yeah,
but
just search
I don't even
Realty
do it.
One Group Next
All right,
Level.
Realty
It'll
One
pull
Next
right up.
Level. You'll pop right up.
Or click on the email I'm going to send you tomorrow.
There we go. Right. So the email and the voicemail is coming. Thank you guys so much for being on. It was great learning. I knew some of it, but I didn't know the entire story. And getting a better understanding of what you guys are all about. People out there listening, you can do whatever you want. These guys started out 2004 as 2 agents walking into an office, and here they are with an office of 60. And you were at one point top team in Manchester 5 years in a row. That's a big fucking deal. Yeah. And you've kicked ass and got all these bank owns, and you'll do it again. I can tell when they come back around. You kind of like a silent assassin a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah, you seem that way a little bit. Kind of like my wife, same way. You know what I mean? But this is awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being on. It was great. Let's see what this year brings.
All right. Appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.